Could we see a possibility of the Vegas Golden Knights doing a sign and trade right after they won the Stanley Cup? It's very possible. Welcome back to Gillis TV. If you're new to the channel, like anything NHL, MLB related, we have it here on the channel, no matter if it's injuries, news, rumors, trades, whatever it is, roster call-ups. We'll try and have it here, especially for the top prospects for the roster call-ups side of things. Now, let's get into this. The Vegas Golden Knights used all the LTIR money to go out and build a better team with Mark Stone on LTIR before the playoffs. Playoffs, you don't need a salary cap, so a lot of people are saying they pulled the whole Tampa Bay thing. You know what? If they did, they did. Bettman didn't do anything about it. The NHL didn't do anything about it. Keep on doing it until someone says differently to do it. Now, let's get into this. One of the things they used that LTIR money was for a trade for Ivan Barbashev from the St. Louis Blues. I can't remember exactly what they gave up, but he was a really good addition to this Vegas Golden Knights team. Brought that second, third line player in that could score and had a phenomenal playoffs. Like, his playoffs were phenomenal. His regular season, he was just over a half a point per game player. And that is really good for a guy like Ivan Barbashev, who is currently looking for a payday when it comes to things. So, let's get into the numbers, talk about where we could see Ivan Barbashev going, because Vegas knows they can't keep everyone. If Mark Stone is healthy and doesn't need to go back on LTIR, they got to make a move here. They want to get something back in return for Ivan Barbashev when it comes down to it, because nowadays teams don't want to lose players for free. We just saw Damian Severson sign an 8-year deal, sign and trade, to go to Columbus for a third-round pick. Even if it's a third-round pick to Vegas in this scenario, it's really helpful for Vegas to get that core of guys and maybe find that gem in the rough for them to have 3-4 years from now. So, getting something in return after giving up what they did, I believe it was a first-round pick, if I'm not mistaken. I could be, but we won't get into that. As we'll go through the stats here, as Barbashev had a really good playoffs. In 22 games, he had 18 points. That's pretty good considering he was just over a half a point per game player. And now he has almost a point per game in the playoffs, which playoffs are supposed to be harder than anything else. He was also a plus 14, where in the regular season he was only a plus 1. So defensively, Vegas, when he was on the ice, played sound defense, could score, and they got the job done, as he had 7 goals, 11 assists in this playoffs. In the regular season between St. Louis and Vegas, he had played all 82 games. He had 45 points, 16 goals, 29 assists, and only a plus 1. Then again, he was on St. Louis, who weren't doing good. They knew they were getting rid of a bunch of players and ultimately got better as time went on, as he was a minus 10 in St. Louis and a plus 11 with the Golden Knights in 23 games. So coming over to Vegas really helped him, and that drove his price up, where he's had 194 points in 433 games, most of that, again, in St. Louis, and he's been a pretty bright spot for whatever team he's on. In those 23 games, though, he only had 6 penalty minutes in Vegas. That's 3 penalties in 23 games. That is absurd. So 20 games he didn't have a penalty, at least, if you look at it that way. He can play on the penalty kill a little bit, and he can provide that secondary scoring on the power play as a second liner, third liner, depending on what team he goes to. And the Vegas Golden Knights should explore their options on what they could get back in return. Do I think it's going to be a third-round pick? It's probably going to be like Damian Severson. It's not going to be as much as a contract, but I think it could be somewhere in the 5 years, $4 to $6 million range for whatever team that wants to pick him up that he agrees to sign with. Because Vegas will work out a trade, no doubt, get all the financials from the other team, and maybe try and squeeze a second-round pick in there or a mid-tier prospect. Do something to try and make it so they don't lose him for free. So it's going to be interesting to watch, as it's probably going to be a sign and trade coming for Ivan Barbashev. I don't see a scenario where Vegas can keep him, but they can try and juggle someone else to keep Barbashev. So that's something to keep a watch on for this offseason and before the trade deadline for sure. So not the trade deadline, the draft, sorry. The draft for sure, to see what they can do before that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I'll catch you on the next one.